What if every chance encounter in your feed was secretly orchestrated by unseen patterns? It started with a simple tweet, a grainy photo of a lone sailor clutching a weathered logbook, posted by a maritime hobbyist with barely 50 followers. Within hours, that obscure image ignited a global phenomenon. Helena, a marketing executive in Prague, swore the boat in the background mirrored the vessel she'd dreamt about 2 nights earlier. Her tweet, "Exactly my dream boat," catalyzed an avalanche of similar stories across time zones and languages. By dawn, #Dreamboat dominated social media. In Tokyo, a student confessed she'd sketched the same scene in art class a week before. In Buenos Aires, a grandfather wondered if the sailor was his long-lost brother. A digital artist in Vancouver looped crowd-sourced sketches into mesmerizing animation. Even a London taxi driver texted his passenger, "I once captained that very boat." Each post deepened the mystery. Were these genuine synchronicities, meaningful coincidences, echoing Jung's vision, or just viral algorithmic sleight of hand? Algorithms certainly amplified every mention, curating related content until patterns emerged almost by design. Yet skeptics missed what many felt, a palpable undercurrent of shared significance weaving strangers into a collective tapestry. News outlets framed it as an internet oddity. Dreamers hailed it as proof of an invisible psychic link. Somewhere between automated feeds and human wonder, the line between engineered coincidence and authentic synchronicity began to blur, setting the stage for a deeper inquiry into how true meaning survives when algorithms fake coincidence. As the world debated #Dreamboat, Marcus recalled the first time he encountered the idea of synchronicity. Decades ago, a chance conversation with his grandfather in a seaside cafe had planted the seed. His grandfather, a retired engineer, described catching a glimpse of a unique seashell, identical to one he'd discovered on his first voyage 30 years earlier. The odds of finding that same rare shell on a distant shore seemed infinitesimal, yet there it was, an uncanny match that felt laden with meaning. Jung would later term such events synchronicities, meaningful coincidences across inner and outer realms, unbound by cause and effect. Carl Jung introduced synchronicity to articulate connections that defied straightforward causality. He observed that sometimes external events coincide with internal psychological states in highly significant ways, forging acausal links that resonate deeply within observers. Unlike mere chance, synchronicity emerges when patterns align with personal meaning, revealing dimensions of the unconscious collective psyche. In Jung's view, these occurrences reflect archetypal structures shared by humanity, surfacing in moments when inner conflicts, queries, or transformations intersect with outer events. Jung illustrated the concept with the story of a patient who described a dream about a golden scarab beetle. As she recounted her dream in a therapy session, a real scarab tapped against the window pane. The therapist caught the beetle and handed it to her, enabling her to connect her dream imagery with the physical world. This coincidence catalyzed a breakthrough, dissolving resistance and illuminating the trajectory of her analytic work. The scarab's appearance held no causal explanation, yet it bore profound significance for the patient's unfolding self-understanding. In the digital era, such moments can feel engineered by algorithms. When platforms surface related content, they create patterns that appear synchronistic, but these engineered alignments lack the depth of a causal meaningfulness Jung described. Genuine synchronicity arises spontaneously, emerging when the psyche's hidden layers gesture outward through symbolic events, inviting participants into deeper awareness. It is not simply about noticing coincidences, but about encountering events that mirror inner experiences so precisely they feel like messages from the collective unconscious. For Marcus, the viral photograph and Helena's dream replayed the golden scarab motif. The logbook and boat had no causal link to Helena's nocturnal vision, nor did thousands of unrelated tweets shape her dream's content. Instead, the photograph functioned as a symbolic trigger, catalyzing latent images and feelings across a network of minds. Whether these responders shared cultural archetypes of the sailor and sea, or whether an undercurrent of collective yearning for exploration stirred the synchronicity, the alignment carried a force beyond algorithmic coincidence. Jung proposed that synchronicity thrives at junctures of transformation. During periods of crisis, decision, or deep questioning, the psyche may signal new directions through synchronicities, nudging individuals toward greater integration. The #Dreamboat phenomenon erupted at a time when many faces on social media felt adrift, seeking guidance amid global uncertainty, personal transitions, and digital overload. The solitary sailor, gazing at an unseen horizon, became a universal emblem of navigation through inner and outer storms, offering onlookers a beacon onto which they projected their own quests for meaning. Understanding synchronicity requires an attuned stance of openness and reflection. Marcus recognized that he needed to suspend reductive explanations and embrace the mystery. Instead of dismissing the phenomenon as manufactured by trending algorithms, he invited participants to consider whether the photograph might serve as a mirror of shared psychic currents. This shift from skepticism to curiosity allowed him and others to explore the symbolic resonance of the sailor and logbook, discerning patterns that illuminated common desires and anxieties. While Jung emphasized synchronicity's acausal nature, he did not denigrate the value of statistical analysis. Rather, he located synchronicity within a complementary perspective. Chance and probability govern much of life's background noise, but synchronicities announce themselves through their improbability and meaningful alignment with inner states. Marcus noticed that the most compelling #Dreamboat accounts always included an emotional or psychological hook, a sense of personal relevance that elevated the coincidence from novelty to message. This dual framework helped Marcus navigate the digital stew of viral coincidences. He began distinguishing between algorithm-fueled pattern recognition, where surfacing repeated images reflected engagement metrics, and genuine synchronicity, where participants experienced visceral insights or changes in perspective. When Helena's dream resonated with the sailor's story, it did more than drive retweets. It stirred her to revisit childhood aspirations and reconnect with her creative self. That deeper shift, rather than the photo's spread per se, marked authentic synchronicity in action. In the digital age, machines can amplify coincidences, but they cannot manufacture the inner context that bestows genuine meaning. Jung's warning rings clear. Synchronistic events beckon us into the unconscious, challenging us to attend to messages beyond surface patterns. When we encounter a meaningful coincidence, we stand at a crossroads between dismissing it as data noise or receiving it as an invitation to engage more fully with our inner life. Marcus's exploration of #Dreamboat illustrated the enduring power of synchronicity, reminding a world submerged in digital clutter. The true meaning arises when psyche and outer world converge in a causal harmony. True synchronicity resists neat statistical reduction. Genuine coincidences stir an inner knowing, a subtle resonance that transcends algorithmic patterning. To distinguish meaning from mere chance, 3 criteria prove indispensable: personal resonance, improbable specificity, and transformative impact. Personal resonance arises when an external event mirrors a distinct interior state. Helena's dream of the weathered logbook aligned precisely with her yearning to break free from corporate constraints and embark on a more creative life. For thousands of others, the sailor image awakened dormant aspirations or unresolved longings. In contrast, random overlaps, like spotting the same stock photo of a boat in 2 unrelated posts, fail to ignite any inner response. Genuine synchronicities speak directly to individual life themes, evoking a felt sense of recognition rather than mere curiosity. Improbable specificity marks a second threshold. Statistical noise can surface broad patterns. Sunsets, birds, or boats might recur in news feeds millions of times a day, but Dreamboat stories hinged on minutiae: the exact curvature of the hull, the barnacle patterns on its prow, the handwritten "EO707" stamped on the leather logbook. Such granular alignment defied simple recommender algorithms, which aggregate by tag rather than pixel-level detail. When coincidences meet this threshold of improbability, they pierce through the veil of chance into the realm of the uncanny. Transformative impact distinguishes synchronous events from serendipitous trivia. When the viral image prompted individuals to revisit lifelong dreams, reconnect with estranged loved ones, or pivot careers toward maritime ventures, something profound had occurred. Algorithms can spur engagement metrics, but they cannot imbue a viral meme with the catalytic power to reshape life trajectories. Participants reported renewed creative energy, deeper self-inquiry, and a surge of purpose, hallmarks of archetypal activation rather than digital engineering. Despite these distinctions, pitfalls abound. Confirmation bias tempts observers to recall only aligning events, while forgetting the innumerable non-aligning ones. Projection can falsely inflate coincidences, attributing personal narratives to neutral stimuli. To counteract these biases, skeptical reflection proves vital, noting every encounter, synchronous or not, tracking context, emotional tone, and outcomes. Only through honest accounting can one discern which events repeatedly cluster around core questions or transitions, indicating authentic guidance rather than random fluctuation. In practice, Marcus journaled each noteworthy coincidence alongside his prevailing intentions and emotional state. Over weeks, he identified clusters of synchronicities tied to major life decisions, job changes, relationships, creative projects, where alignments recurred with uncanny frequency. By contrast, casual overlaps left no lasting impression. This systematic approach affirmed that synchronistic signals emerge not from chance, but from the psyche's dialogue with the external world. Ultimately, true meaning demands active participation. Synchronicity calls us into relationship with deeper layers of self, inviting interpretation, integration, and sometimes decisive action. When understood as acausal messages, coincidences become navigational beacons, guiding us through inner landscapes. In a world awash with algorithmically engineered patterns, the challenge lies in cultivating the discernment to receive only those coincidences that genuinely resonate, exceed probability thresholds, and inspire personal transformation. The digital deluge intensifies the challenge of discerning real synchronicity. Algorithms excel at surfacing related content, news articles, social posts, videos that align with user behavior patterns. They string together images tagged boat, sea, or dream until coincidences appear ubiquitous. Yet engineered patterning lacks the acausal depth Jung described. Recognizing algorithmic pitfalls requires understanding three core mechanisms: engagement optimization, filter bubbles, and predictive personalization. Engagement optimization drives platforms to maximize user attention. When a post sparks high interaction, comments, shares, dwell time, algorithms amplify similar content across broader audiences. Thus, an obscure boat photograph can snowball into a trending phenomenon, not because of inherent meaning, but as a byproduct of network dynamics. Users encountering repeated exposures may mistake volume for significance, assuming that sheer repetition implies an underlying message. In reality, engineered loops reinforce engagement cycles rather than genuine coincidence. Filter bubbles compound this effect. Social media platforms curate feeds based on inferred preferences, grouping like-minded users together. Helena's original Dreamboat post spread primarily among communities interested in spirituality, dreams, and Jungian psychology. As these circles shared the image, engagement soared within echo chambers predisposed to interpret coincidences meaningfully. Outside these bubbles, the post remained invisible. The result, artificially constructed synchronicity pockets that feel authentic to insiders but evaporate once algorithmic filters shift focus. Predictive personalization further blurs authenticity. Data analytics anticipate user interests, preloading content before explicit searches. If your feed suggests oceanic themes after a single dream search, subsequent images of boats feel synchronistic yet may simply reflect pre-configured recommendations. In this environment, coincidence becomes a design feature rather than a window into the unconscious. The more personalized the feed, the higher the risk of conflating algorithmic cues with meaningful signs. Moreover, bots and coordinated campaigns can simulate crowdsourced synchronicity. Automated accounts repost images and fabricated anecdotes to boost virality. Unless one verifies source credibility and examines digital footprints, distinguishing genuine user experiences from orchestrated hype proves difficult. Dreamboat's initial spark came from a hobbyist with 50 followers, but subsequent surges involved bot-driven amplification that muddied the narrative. Skeptical due diligence, checking timestamps, account veracity, and organic engagement patterns becomes essential. Cognitive fatigue compounds these technological distortions. When users scroll through endless feeds, attentional resources deplete, making every fresh coincidence feel momentous. In this state, the psyche craves meaning, seizing on any pattern that suggests connection. The urge to share, seeking community affirmation, fuels rapid spread of spurious synchronicities. As excitement spikes, critical reflection wanes, and algorithmic loops intensify exposure. The experience becomes a feedback loop of emotional arousal rather than mindful reception. Nevertheless, Technology itself can aid discernment. Awareness of algorithmic mechanics allows users to temporarily disable personalization features, view content chronologically, or use minimalist feeds to escape filter bubbles. Digital detox periods create mental space to reflect on whether a coincidence would have felt meaningful without engineered cues. Tools that track feed composition, percentages of sponsored posts versus organic shares, offer insights into the authenticity of viral trends. By combining these practices, individuals reclaim agency over digital environments. Jung foresaw the risk of conflating psychic phenomena with collective projections. In his era, false synchronicities arose through mass hysteria or pseudo-scientific claims. Today's algorithms amplify these distortions exponentially, creating false patterns that masquerade as archetypal messages. Yet the remedy remains the same. Cultivate conscious awareness, question one's assumptions, and differentiate between organically arising coincidences and algorithmic constructs. As we navigate the digital age, mastering this distinction becomes a crucial step toward preserving the integrity of synchronicity as a gateway to the unconscious. Amid algorithmic illusions, cultivating conscious meaning-making requires intentional practices that honor Jung's original vision. 5 interrelated steps foster genuine synchronicity awareness: reflective pause, symbolic journaling, dream incubation, community validation, and embodied ritual. A reflective pause interrupts automatic responses to compelling coincidences. Marcus developed a habit of taking 3 mindful breaths before engaging with any viral post that appeared synchronistic. During this pause, he asked, "What might this event reflect about my inner state?" By slowing the habitual click-and-share reaction, he created space to sense whether the coincidence stirred genuine insight or merely triggered novelty craving. Symbolic journaling anchors synchronic observations in personal narrative. Instead of collecting screenshots, Marcus recorded each notable coincidence alongside context, date, location, mood, and contemporaneous intentions or questions. Over weeks, patterns emerged around career shifts, relationship crossroads, and creative blocks. This organized record differentiated fleeting fascinations from recurring guidance, clarifying which coincidences merited deeper attention. Dream incubation bridges digital synchronicity with unconscious imagery. Before sleep, Marcus set an intention. Show me an image that relates to my current questions. Often, dreams revisited motifs from waking coincidences, boats, maps, bridges, revealing layered meaning inaccessible through conscious deliberation. Aligning dream symbols with daytime encounters deepened his trust in genuine synchronic signals. Community validation provides relational grounding. Synchronicity unfolds through shared archetypal patterns, and discussing experiences with trusted peers prevents projection errors. Marcus convened a small group of friends practicing mindful awareness. They met monthly to share coincidences, compare interpretations, and challenge unfounded assumptions. Collective reflection ensured that personal meanings resonated beyond individual fantasies, reinforcing authentic insight. Embodied ritual honors synchronic events as initiatory thresholds. When Marcus encountered a particularly striking coincidence, such as discovering a handwritten map mirroring a dream landscape, he designed simple ceremonies, lighting a candle, walking a symbolic path outdoors, or performing a brief movement sequence invoking the coinciding image. These embodied acts wove the external event into lived experience, transforming abstract patterns into transformative encounters. By integrating these practices, seekers create a fertile environment for genuine synchronicity to flourish, even amid algorithmic noise. Reflective pause cultivates discernment. Journaling reveals patterns. Dream incubation deepens archetypal resonance. Community validation prevents projection, and ritual transforms coincidences into lived rites of passage. Together, they preserve the acausal depth Jung described, ensuring that meaningful coincidences remain windows into the unconscious rather than casualties of digital illusion. In an age dominated by engineered patterns, true synchronicity endures as a testament to the psyche's capacity for meaningful dialogue with the outer world. By practicing conscious meaning-making, we honor the mystery at the heart of our shared humanity, heeding Jung's warning that authentic transformation arises not from curated feeds, but from the soul's invitations whispered through coincidence.